Spanish Fly coming at you straight from the 90s.
Hispanics make up the largest number of gangs.
Welcome back to another episode of the G-Funk Junkies podcast. Today we have a very special guest, a hip-hop veteran, not just in the underground scene, but in hip-hop in general. One of the first producers / rappers to have come out of LA in the late 80s and early 90s. I'm of course talking about Frank Contreras, aka DJ Tricks from Spanish Fly.
What's happening?
Hey man, glad to be with you guys, Six and Wise. Seen your show, I love it, and I'm just here to represent with you guys and answer any questions you guys might have.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for blessing us for the chance to interview you, man.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys.
I know you've been through this quite a few times. You and Dads have had several interviews, and I don't know how much you like to tell your story. I'd like to hear it, or if you can at least give us and the listeners a quick recap of how you started in the mid-'80s, what led up to the formation of the group, and if you can kind of talk about what led into the making of Trust No Man, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, no problem. Might be take a couple of minutes, but yeah, I could definitely share. I'm gonna try to give you guys something that has probably not really been said. I want to try to make it more interesting.
Oh yeah!
I'm gonna try to do that. Okay, so let's see. The beginning would be so obviously Richard Anaya, who was Zessa Rich Rock, was the main rapper of the, actually the only rapper of the group. I know you guys probably heard a couple things that me and David Daz had done, but we weren't necessarily ever trying to be rappers or be rappers. So me and Rich Rock started making music in around 1985, and we just loved rap. We loved hip hop. We loved everything about it. We loved the graffiti, the breakdancing, the DJing, the rapping, obviously. And so we got into it around 85. We started trying to get a record deal around the same time, 85. We started shopping our tapes to McCullough Records, JDC Records, Techno Hop, which were the labels that were the only labels we knew that were in the Los Angeles area. McCullough had, artists like Bobby Jimmy and the Critters, the World Class Wrecking Crew, Ice-T, a lot of other groups. It was actually like a subsidiary label where Techno Hop, then you had all these other Rapster Records, all these little labels that were out of McCullough. But we never got an answer back from them, and then so we sent it to JDC Records, which was in San Pedro, another label. They had like the Knights of the Turntable and all that, and a couple of other groups. They were like a high energy record label, and they pretty much said they weren't interested, I guess, because when we started making songs, we were only like kids, we were like in 7th and 8th grade, so our demos didn't sound really good, they were just like a drum machine with him rapping and me scratching, and like, so it didn't really get too far, and then like, but me and Rich kept doing it, man. We kept making demos, we kept making songs, for our friends, and then eventually I just got this idea. It was in 1989, like I had seen this little movie called Duke of Earl. I don't know if you guys ever seen that.
Yeah, the Christian movie.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right? The barrio, gang banging and low riding. It's about the barrio. It's about God, homeboy. That's what it's about. It's about God, Duke. God loves Duke. God loves Tokerstown. And God even loves 14th Street.
Yeah, exactly. So I seen Duke of Earl, and for some reason, this was like the era when all our friends started becoming cholos. I had friends that were like Crips and Bloods that were like, 7th and 8th, 9th graders, and they around the block, there was guys that were Bloods. We grew up in an area where there's a lot of Bloods. There's a lot of cholos, but a lot of Bloods too, a lot of Crips too. And at this time, like when we seen Duke of Earl, we started wearing like, Cords and Dickies and Converse and Nike Cortez, and I was just like, you know what? I want to make a song like a Boys in the Hood style song, but I want to do it for the homies, and
Yeah.
and so like I was telling Rich about it. He was like, that's stupid. That's the way he would talk. That's stupid. And I was like, nah, look, man. And I had got 18 with the Bullet, and I had kind of like sampled it. Like we didn't have a sampler back then, so I kind of just sampled it by using 2 records because I was already a DJ.
And I sampled it up. I just sampled it using a push play, record, and pause. And I do. I just kept looping that over and over. I bought 2 of them because I had turntables, and I just do. We just started.
And I was like, then I did a little rap for him, and he's like, oh yeah, okay, I got it. And then he came up with the whole rap, and then we recorded it, and from then on, we just started making song after song, and then the demos, and we obviously started putting demos out, and the demos started circulating, and that's how we kind of caught that buzz early on in 1989 and 90.
So you formatted the rhyme scheme or pattern or melody to 18 with the bullet. So you were quoted as saying, starting off the song, you gave the idea to Rich Rock that goes, "This is the life of a Mexican with lowered cars, creased handsome Pendletons." So my question to you is, you started something good. Why didn't you end up hopping on the record after all, since you opened up with basically the idea that gave Rich Rock to make the song?
You know what, man? That's a good question, but at the end of the day, Rich Rock, see, you have to remember, we were making demos already in 85. And then the first album we tried to do called Pay to Chill. Then around 87, we did another album, and it was more like a KRS-One type style record. I have like 9 or 10 songs we did. So for me, like Rich Rock, man, you have to understand, like, this guy was like the dopest rapper around this area. He would battle black guys and just serve them. They would rap, then Rich Rock would bust a rap, and they wouldn't even respond, bro. That's how good he was. He was so good that it would just overshadow if I tried to rap. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm never, like, I could rap, but I'm not a rapper. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at myself as a rapper. I look at myself as the producer, the guy that puts all the stuff together. Like, yo, man, why don't you try to do that again? Get back in the booth, do it again, or rewrite that part of the verse. I've always been more that guy. Like, to encourage the person to do the song to spit the rhyme better, to try something else. So let's get another guy in there. Just pretty much like overseeing how everything was coming together. Like, I could hear it in my mind, but it you know what I mean? Like, it's like for you guys, you got 2 guys on your show. You always need someone that's gonna help. It motivates me to have another guy, so I'm not the guy doing everything. He was like my right hand man to do, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got the idea of what songs we should do. Like, bro, you come up with the rhymes. You come up with the ideas for that. Like, I'll give you the song titles and the songs of what to talk about, but I want you to write them, bro. You're the one, because he was the gifted MC. I was, like, I could rap, but I was like, I didn't have the voice, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have been right if I would have done that, man. Yeah, he was just a prolific rapper. It was like, he was an MC, and it's like, if I try to do that, like, I'm surprised you knew about that. This is the lie. I don't know where you heard that story from, but yeah, that's something that I had wrote down, and I probably still have it on tape. But for him, he's like, man, I got it. Then I remember I went to his house like the next day, and he's opened his screen door and just came out like, orale ese, let's load the shotgun up. I was like, damn, all right, that's it.
And I just
Orale ese, let's load the shotgun up to show them all that S fly don't give a fuck.
How long did that song take to record and master?
Well, like, the demo, like, when he wrote his rap, it was like the very next day. In order to get the song out, it took like almost 3 years, because we were trying to get record deals, and like, I remember we went in circles for about 1.5 years with people that were either like didn't have the money, or like, I don't even know. There's so much to do. There's so much, like, with all that too. Like, I remember we once went to Thump Records to try to get, me and Richard and his little brother Louis went. And then we met this guy, I guess Bill Walker, that's his name, right? Is that his name? The guy that
Bill Walker.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, we I like the song, but we don't want it that gangster. We want cholos that are not really cholo, but sound like they are. That song, you guys are gonna cause like fights. They wanted cholos, but white boy cholos, maybe. I think that's what he was trying to say. So he was like, yeah, but you can leave your tape here.
Oh yeah, of course.
I could have probably said, you know what, Bill, man, we'll do whatever you want us to do, please. But we were so hard-headed and naive at the time, where we thought that we just thought that we were gonna be like something that we never really amounted to being. But we were just kind of like, nah, we're gonna be big and we're gonna wait. We did that too much too.
So I did hear you say that in the one of the interviews, I think it was with Tony A, that you guys had a manager and you guys ended up clicking up with LAJ, and he kept on saying like, just hold on. Like, were the songs for Trust No Man already recorded by then, or what project was being held, or what songs were not being released because you guys kept on getting pushed back?
Yeah, the LAJ thing was a good thing too because he was like a really good producer. He actually still is. LAJ, if you look him up, that's what he goes by. But he was making records with Vanessa Williams and Tony. He was like this guy. He was like a couple years older than us. He had like long hair, like different than us. I don't know if he's white or Mexican. I don't know what he is, but we would go to his house and he had like a lot of equipment. And we just said, bro, we need help. Look, this is our demo. And he's like, don't trip. I got a guy in New York, Polygram Records. I'm going to show him your stuff. I like it. And then he would fly back and forth to New York. And then he came back and he said, man, I got you guys a deal, but you know, we gotta just wait. We're gonna have to wait because he's doing something else right now. And I was like, all right. And he's like, meanwhile, we're gonna, retrack your demo because he had an MPC. I don't know if you know what that is, an Akai MPC 60.
Mm-hmm.
It's a drum machine. So what we did was we started retracking our stuff and cleaned it up. And then he showed the guy. His name was Ed from Polygram Records. And he's like, yeah, he wants to sign us. He said he was gonna sign us and a group Black Sheep, which I never heard at the time. And I was like, yeah, man, we were excited. And then like all of a sudden out of nowhere, a group called Lighter Shade of Brown came out with TJ Knights. And I was like, oh, damn, man. I was so pissed. I remember we were furious because for some reason, I don't know, we wanted to be the first like non-black rappers. I'm sure there was probably others before that. I don't really know, but we were furious. So we told Jay, bro, we can't wait, man. We need to do this right now. You need to tell Ed, we need to get this done now. We can't wait. We're sick and tired. It was already like 6 more months that went by. And he was like, nah, just hold off. And we eventually just didn't even call Jay back and ended up trying to get a deal elsewhere.
You know what? I feel Spanish Fly put accurate labels on like Lighter Shade of Brown style being more like pop rap and Frank V's Mexican Power being influenced more by like that Public Enemy, X-Clan, Political Pride rap style.
Yeah.
You weren't kind of specific in a prior interview of how do you differentiate 18 with the Bullet or the style that was displayed on Trust No Man with Kid Frost, La Raza?
Because this is for La Raza.
What's the difference between those two? Have you ever heard that album that he did with the Raza on it? Have you ever heard that album?
Yeah,
yes.
Hispanic Causing Panic.
Yeah, you heard the whole album, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay, so that's it. That's all I got to say. I mean, that whole album, that was like the only song that was like that. Every other song was like, I don't know, it sounded like Booyah Tribe or... I can't remember. I probably heard that album one time, and I think I'm gonna tell you the honest truth, and this is no like disrespect to Kid Frost and everything that he done, but I remember people laughing at him in general at the music. Man, I hate to say that now, man, because now I'm older and I'm in my 50s now. But at the time, I remember nobody really liked. Did you guys like that song when it came out?
I was born in '89, so that song was still fresh when I was still in diapers. You know what I mean?
And I was born in '85.
So all the guys that were from like the guys we hung around with, the guys that were cholos or whatever, like from the west or the east side or from Carson or whoever we hung around with, they laughed at that stuff because they all liked NWA and Dr. Dre and Snoop. They didn't really like at the time that kind of rap. To tell you the truth, they didn't even like our stuff.
By any means, Frank, be open about it. This is what this podcast is about. Me and Wise, we talk about our experiences of being fans of Chicano and Latin rap and getting criticized.
Chicanos have always been the hardest critics toward our music, or I don't know now, like today I don't really know because I don't even know like Chicano rap now, but back then they were the hardest critics. They didn't play it.
Big facts.
We would go into parties and we would put our tape in, and then people would be like, what the hell's this? What's going on, man? Take that out, man. And they would put back in, I don't know, whatever it was they were playing. What were they playing? Tupac back then? Or was that, no, that was, Tupac was later on. I don't think they liked it because it was like the way it sounded, like it wasn't like representing their neighborhood. Maybe it was sort of like they looked at it as like a neighborhood song. Like not just that song, but cholo rap in general.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of egos that clash, right? Like we're full of malinchismo sometimes, where we're gonna support somebody else claiming some other shit that isn't us, but we won't support us. You know what I mean? Because of whatever neighborhood is tensions that you may have, or tensions that may exist, or or we feel like, oh, XYZ neighborhood is bigger and badder than ABC neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip.
And I can also imagine that it was also hard that you guys are introducing, rap into funk and oldie beats. That's something that was completely new, and some people weren't registering if that's gonna hit. Is it genius? Is it not? So people probably had a hard time processing that, something new to them.
Yeah, possibly not liking it. It sounded slow. I think most of our stuff sounded too slow. It's my fault, man. It was my fault too, man. A lot of the songs they were kind of cheesy, man. The Trust No Man songs, because like the thing about it is like we were using kind of like oldies that were kind of like cheesy a little bit in a way, but for some reason we thought it would work. If you look at, like you mentioned, X-Clan, the first album they made was I think To the East Blackwards, and they were kind of using cheesy samples like More Bounce to the Ounce, Genius of Love, but they knew that those songs would hit. Like they were like using the beats to get their lyrics across. And I was like, man, dude, we need to use like cheesy beats to get our lyrics across, and then on the next album we'll hit them with something a little more hard, hopefully.
So I got a question for you. So I really love the special edition for Trust No Man because of the commentary that you played on there, and you kind of circling back to this whole Kid Frost, situation. You mentioned that Rich Rock says, you might have heard some suckers bite some shit that I said, or something along those lines.
Perhaps you heard suckers bite some things I did, but at last you heard about them that were aiming, not afraid to shoot, and not one.
And it made me think, and I went back and I'm like, okay, I remember that Frost dropped that song, Lowrider.
Yeah, right.
I know Rich Rock has a song called My OG Lowrider.
Yeah,
that OG Lowrider's a little higher. Like a rock, I'm rolling, going through the audio, the area that's scaring you.
And it's sampling the same beat, and I'm just wondering, was it because of the Spanglish, or was it because of that beat or that same sample that you guys had that you guys felt like Kid Frost was biting your style?
Shoot, that's probably part of it, right? Let me see. It was just more hearsay, like people telling us stuff, because I'm trying to remember. Let me think here. Well, since you brought up Lowrider, I'll bring that up, because we had gave a tape to Tony G, and he's the guy that made that song before they made that song. And if you listen to the song, there's just a couple things they said. Well, Rich Rock changed his raps, but there's some stuff that they said in that rap that Rich Rock said, but Rich Rock changed it. Then, I don't know, I just felt like, okay, oh yeah, then at the end of the song, I think he says, who's that, ALT? He says, yeah, it's fly, or something like that. He says that when the song is ending. You could probably pull up the song and listen to him saying that.
And it's fly.
So we felt, I don't know, I felt like it was a shot at us, but it probably really wasn't. Oh yeah, then he says, cruising in my lowered, something like that. And that's the way our song originally goes. I could pull the demo up and show you.
Like a rock, I'm rolling, going through the audio, the area that's scaring you. Cruising, the bass escapes from the window. I'm rolling real slow and low.
But there was stuff that they did, and then like how Mellow Man Ace came on there and he was saying all this stuff sounding all stupid. It irritated me even more, because we felt like that song Lowrider was gonna be one of the key songs of blowing us up at the time. I don't know why I thought that, but yeah, we just felt like Tony G and them, they robbed us for that song. They probably didn't, bro. But that's just the way hip hop nature is, and us being hip hop and competitive, we totally thought that they burned us for that idea for that song.
It wouldn't be the first time either that something like that has happened. Like Lighter Shade of Brown has been accused of similar ideas, right? when it came to there's a few groups that you might have heard of or might not have heard of that have some conflicts with Lighter Shade of Brown, but I remember there was this group out of Santa Ana called The Lyrical and the SA Mob, where they mentioned that they had the same issue where, you know, concepts of songs were taken by Lighter Shade of Brown, and Cali Lifestyle, another group from the Central Coast, something similar had happened where they had a sample picked out, and then the person that was involved with the music happened to kind of show it to Lighter Shade of Brown's group or whatnot, and what do you know, the song what is it called? It's Laying it's like one of the singles for Laying in the Cut. I forget what it's called. It's like one of the more popular Lighter Shade of Brown songs.
This song was done a long time ago before you know who fucked it up. Yeah, Lighter Shade of Brown, gang.
You know, it's a small world out there, you know?
Yeah, a lot of it could be coincidence, but sometimes it's not, man. Because I know how hip hop is. And like, but you know, at the end of the day, man, that's stupid stuff now when I look back at it to say like, oh yeah, Tony G and Kid Frost took our song. Like now that I'm older and I think about it, I'm like, that's stupid. It's not even our song anyway. It's a sample. It's only an idea. They say that great minds, not that our minds were great or anything, but people think of ideas at the same time. Maybe they just thought the same idea. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. To me, it don't matter no more, but it's a little more than that. Like me and Daz always talk about it, how people never gave us, like, we never asked for people's respect, but all we asked is to be acknowledged. Yeah, people would say like, oh, they would say Frost was dope. Yeah, Spanish Fly was dope. You know, Proper Dos was dope, Lighter Shade of Brown. But they would say them, but they wouldn't ever say us. They would never mention Spanish Fly. And then, like, the fans would mention us. And then, you know, these other guys would say, oh, no, we never really heard of them. It's on and on and on. It's the same thing on and on and on, which, like I said, we never really cared about people, like, you know, jockeying us or whatever, man. We just always wanted to be included. That was all it really was, is just to be included. But then when I look back at the production of our album, I kind of see why we weren't included, really, because some of our stuff was not fully done, and like it's kind of hard to listen to now because I know that there was stuff that should have been fixed and never was. But then at the same time, we're just glad that it got done. It took us so long to get it done.
I'm curious to know. You had mentioned when you guys showed up on Tony A's podcast that Eazy-E was interested in you guys, or that I guess Daz mentioned that Murray had told you guys that Eazy wanted to sign you guys.
Murray from Familia, I remember he told me Eazy-E wanted to sign us.
Okay, Murray, that would be
Murray Brunfield.
Murray Brunfield, yeah, okay.
That was after, yeah.
Around what time was that?
Probably 94. I remember I met him at Abbey Road, and I remember I gave him the CD, and he said, "Yeah, I heard of you guys. I like what you guys are doing," and that was really all he said.
Wow.
I didn't know he gave my cousin David was with them too. He was a rapper too back then. He used to go by West Side Grim, and he gave him the Bone Thugs tape before it came out. He still has it too, my cousin. And it was like only pieces and bits of the song. It would play for like a minute, then it would lower out, then another song would come in, and we didn't even know what they were at the time. We were like, oh, cool, man. And Eazy was walking around. It was at a autograph convention, and like these other guys were there, Snoop and Warren G, and they were like all hiding in the cars, but Eazy was just there walking around. And I was like, hey, what's going on, man? You know, we want to get a record deal, man. Here's our CD. He's like, yeah, man, I heard of y'all. Check it out. I don't know what, like, I know Murray used to say stuff like that, but I also know Murray would kind of try to keep us in his pocket. He didn't want to probably us. He didn't want us to get a deal. You know what I mean? He wanted to keep us on his label. So I don't know. Maybe he would say stuff like that, but it, you know, obviously I know you guys probably know the stories about Night Owl and them gonna end up signing with Ruthless at the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like in 96 when that was gonna happen.
Around 95 or 96, yeah, because they had shopped their demo, or I guess left the messages on the recording machine for Jerry Heller. But I'm just curious, though, like, what's your take on Like, do you think? I know you've said that Samoans and black dudes and white dudes would bump 18 with a bullet.
And I remember, just walking down the street and people driving by playing it. All, black people, Samoans, Mexican, everyone was playing that song, man. That song blew up.
But as time transpired, do you think that, if Eazy-E would have given you guys that exposure, that your music would be played across different crowds, or do you think it would have just remained a Chicano staple?
Yeah, that could be a general question for any Chicano artist too, though. In reality, I think it's possible, but who's good enough to do that? Let me see. You know what I noticed, man, in the last 10 years, I have heard a couple Chicano rappers like I'm familiar with Conejo. He had a good voice. I remember hearing his stuff through the years, like even in the late 90s. Then this guy King Little G, is that his name? Yeah. Okay, those guys got pretty good voices. I think with Chicanos, their voices don't really break through the song, the mix, the way they sound. Like, also too, like, why are they still talking about the same stuff that was said in 92, 95?
I have an answer for that. This is the perspective of why I think we still sound like, to everybody else, like we're stuck in the 90s or something. But have you ever thought about when Mexicans are involved with music, how it's not for a fad? Like, if you think about rancheras, you think about corridos, you think about mariachi music, that music has existed for sometimes, like, let's go back to mariachi music, that's existed for over 100 years. And there has been little change and very few modifications to the music. Maybe the highest point of change has been the way that it's been recorded. But corridos too. You can find corridos that go back to the revolution in Mexico, right? Back in 1910.
Yeah.
And corridos haven't really changed much, except for, like, now the narco corridos are probably the biggest change to the original corridos. But I think when we get involved with music, it's not something that we do because it's a fad and we just want to jump on it. It's things that we do out of tradition. And for us, like, gangster rap is not a fad, right? It's not like it was for the mainstream 90s, where, like, oh shit, gangster rap and lowriders and blunts and that's it. Like, no, man, lowriders and blunts, like, that goes way back to before Cheech and Chong, you know what I mean? Like, before it was popularized by music. But I think it's out of tradition and not out of fad, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like that answer. Yeah, it's because hip-hop is so competitive, it don't discredit the level of what they're doing, though. Like, it has to be up to par.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I just, for me, like, man, it's kind of weird. Like, so I was into, like, this Chicano, I guess it's Chicano rap. It wasn't Chicano rap at the time. Like, I guess I was into it, like, from 90 to 95, 4. And then I kind of got into some other styles of music, but I've always been recording, like, nonstop since then. But, like, I really don't, like, at that moment, like, after that, I really didn't know nothing about it. Like, this was the era, I guess, when, like, all the groups started coming out. I didn't really follow it. Like, I've never bought a Shadow CD or a Little Rob CD or a Kid Frost CD. I never heard, like, I never really even heard their music. It's weird. I never even heard Esadaz's stuff after I didn't do music with him. I barely even heard, like, a couple of his songs.
Well, no, now I'm just rebounding off the situation. So, were you ever asked, or is there a reason why you never hopped, at least as a producer, to the reincarnation of Spanish Fly with Annie Means and Mexiclan and, Johnny and Esadaz?
Oh, you mean like right now, not 2003? He told me about. I have songs that came out with under Spanish Fly. I have like 8 or 9 the last 10 years.
Okay.
But he told me, he mentioned that he was doing all that. But I really, like, you guys probably know I've been a Christian, like, for 25 years. You guys, I don't know if you know that, you probably do. But I really couldn't, like, get behind what they're talking about. It's like, it just, what am I gonna rap about? Like, look at me. I'm not saying they're rapping about, like, look at me, I'm this and that. It's hard for me to get behind that. I'm already in my 50s. It's hard to promote that, man. It's hard for me to be behind, because I still do rolling music with people, but we do music that is like, like, if I'm recording jazz or alternative rock or just hip hop, where it's not all like sounding like they're trying to act really. I'm not saying that Daz and them are trying to act like they're all hard, but I don't know. I can't do that, man. I mean, I feel like I'll be faking now at my age to do that. Just for me in general.
I noticed that a lot in your younger years. When you rock the facial hair, the mustache, and the baseball cap. Has anyone told you that you look like evidence from Dilated Peoples?
I got to see what he looks like.
All right, so I got a pretty complicated question, or a long-winded question, I should say. So I've been watching the documentary and listening to your interviews and listening to the music kind of since we talked about 8 weeks ago about doing this interview, and I like to kind of zone in onto what I'm listening to and what I want to review and stuff. And in the documentary, FYI for all the listeners tuning in right now, if you haven't seen the documentary, it's a short 25-minute documentary, but it's really intriguing and really interesting, and you can watch it on Amazon. I think it costs like $5, so it's totally worth it. Yeah, if you're in the United States, please download it. If you are not in the United States, use the VPN and download it. It's super cool. But going back to it, you mentioned towards the end, you and Dad start mentioning how there's internal conflict, and Richard starts feeling a certain way about you being on the group. And as I'm listening to Trust No Man, I feel like I'm listening to two different albums, because I feel like Ese Rich Rock was his own group and Spanish Fly was a separate group, but the Trust No Man was one CD or one album, right? And I'm just wondering, I'm kind of starting to hear that those tensions were there, because there's very little songs where all of you are kind of on it, if that makes sense, right? Like,
yeah,
I didn't really hear too many songs with Daz and Rich Rock on it. I felt like Rich Rock was his own thing. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. What happened was, I'll answer the first question was, so it was because Rich Rock had a issue with substance abuse that got really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you guys already know that. I mean, we all did stuff. We all, like substance abuse. So when I say a substance, it could be anything. It's not necessarily that we did speed or crack or heroin or anything like that. I mean, substance like if it could be marijuana or alcohol or just being an addict in general.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously hanging in the neighborhood, we're gonna just try different stuff, do different stuff, and like that had a lot of reason why the diminishing of the group. And the reason why me and him started having conflict was because of that. Like, I see him a certain way and then I'm mad at him for that. So now he's mad at me because I'm mad at him because of that. The second question would be about like the album sounding like two albums, basically because Rich Rock wasn't there at the end. You'll notice he's not on the cover of the album because he didn't want to be part of it. Yeah, he didn't want to be part of it. He's like, nah, I don't want to be. We got to go to his house, and he's like, nah, I don't want to be part of it. He don't want. And I even said like when I said on the Rhodium radio, like, did he ever even see the album? Like, did he even ever see the album cover? And Dad's like, I don't know. I mean, I know he did see it because I remember we gave it to him, or I gave it to him, but he was uninterested at that time with it already because I guess because of substance abuse, he was going through a lot of stuff in his life. So the reason why the albums did sound like two different albums is because we had to do a lot of fillers in there where like, because Rich Rock, the way he was in his mindset with rapping and hip hop was, I'm gonna be the only rapper. Like, hell no, you guys can't rap, you suck. That's the way he was, talk and say it. And like, so basically, because he wasn't there, we had to kind of like do fillers. And if you listen to the raps, you get like, these fools can't rap compared to how Rich Rock raps. It might sound cool, we might be able to get by and pull it off, but we weren't really rappers. That's why it kind of sounded that way too. And yeah, that was the reason why I didn't even want to do it either. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to do this album anymore. If it wasn't for Toker or Ruben coming to my house and saying, bro, you need to come back and help us finish this thing, I probably would have never even came back and helped them finish it. Because I was so upset too about it. Rich Rock was gone and I was pretty much gone. And I was pissed off about the whole ordeal, but But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm glad I did go back and help him finish it, and it did get done. Because if it didn't get done, then man, who knows what the hell would have happened.
Being young in a group and having different ideas, and then you mix in drugs with it, we just kind of like, I wouldn't say me per se, but like certain members just kind of stopped getting along, and because when we finished the album, I mean, I pretty much finished it with Toker, and then Rich Rock was a challenge to get him to go too.
You know, one thing that don't shy away from you guys actually participating on that, because when I first heard Spanish Fly back when I was like 15, I was actually more drawn towards Daz than I was to Rich Rock. You know, now in my 30s, I listen to it, I'm like, hey, Rich Rock was pretty gifted, but something about Daz, like Daz had a certain charisma that really appealed to me when I heard him rapping, you know? Right, yeah. Yeah, like I said, we could pull it off. Yeah, he could definitely pull it off and get by doing that. But like Daz is a great producer. People, or even me, I guess I do, see him as a producer more than a rapper. Okay, so who produced most of or Trust No Man? Like, was it like 50-50, or what was that ratio like? I think I must have came up with the concept of mostly every song. I think David might have did, let me see. Well, Kill for Thrills was a different song, and then he kind of like edited it differently. So, Spanish. You probably heard it on that special edition, the way it sounded before. Yep. Then he kind of, with the help of this guy, Little Chill, he kind of changed it around a little bit and then did a different hook. So he did most of that. Like the samples were mostly my idea. Like this is what we're gonna use. But then he kind of flipped them around, which was dope too. So I guess he probably did that. And then I think that would be it. Let me see. Was that you on the third verse on Kill for Thrills? Yeah, it was. It was a filler. Pretty much a filler.
Trick says it as a little chill. It's kill or be killed, so we kill for thrill.
I did Rest in Peace too, that Rest in Peace one.
It's clear as yesterday, I can't remember. Good or bad, truth or dead, life is like a nightmare.
But I'm not a rapper, man. I've never really been a rapper. But I could rap, but I'm not a rapper though.
Yo, Trix, did you ever have like maybe a ballpark number that you can give us, or maybe an estimate for maybe how many sales or units you have combined with CDs? I mean, vinyl single, CD album, and tape.
Oh yeah, it's a lot, man. We still selling it right now. Probably over 200,000. I think they mentioned that they did about 350 units. Yeah, it was on probably the Real American Cholo. It probably is now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we still selling it right now. It's still moving right now.
You guys sold actually a pretty good amount of copies for that day and age, no?
Yeah, brother. I actually got the SoundScan years ago. I'm sure that album is we're gold now, but it was at 350,000 copies, something like that.
Yeah, that's major, brother.
This was back in the day. And I have a SoundScan for that. So, fast forward to 2020. I mean, I still sell those CDs. They still buy them off
That's
the website.
Right.
So, I don't know. We probably close to 500,000 now as far as that album and that 18 with a Bullet. But it did about 300-some thousand back in those days with no radio play, because no one was going to play that song. There was no major label push. Right. We didn't have money. It was just like Eazy-E did it, just out of the trunk. Just to quantify that to the listeners, keep in mind that NWA sold 500,000 records out of the trunk, and they were on the label, and they did get some exposure, versus you got underground albums like this one with no radio play, no help from the mainstream. You've heard Night Owl say that his first album, to date had sold about 500,000 units or 400. The LSD Fully Strapped album, Murray Brumfield said that went gold too. Wow. So I just want the listeners to understand that like there's potential in the underground music, and you guys have like no direction, but still managed to pull off these feats of
they're like Herculean feats of of showmanship in the underground. You know what I'm saying? Like, who else can say that their albums, despite not having the push from radio, the mainstream, or any real capital behind it, have been able to produce this much? You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It was moving itself. A lot of those artists were moving the music because people loved it.
Yeah, no, I love it still. You know, it's been 17 years since I first heard it, or maybe 18 years since I first heard your music, and it still, you know, sits well with me. But I wanted to circle back to your cousin, Westside Grimm. I did not know he was your cousin, so I'm glad that you mentioned that on the air here, because that's really cool. I actually wish that he had appeared on more songs with you guys. I know that he and Daz did a few tracks together, but can you elaborate on the song that was meant to come out on that MC8 movie, Reasons?
Oh yeah. That was actually him and David doing that. I don't know. We did a podcast on that, right?
Yes, that's where I heard it. I heard a little snippet of it.
Yeah, I don't really know much about what happened. I guess the movie didn't happen after all, and the song just kind of got shelved.
Damn.
All right, so in 1995, we got a chance to do a song for a movie called Reasons. And in 2 days, we did a little 4-track. We went to Riverside to record in New Breed of Hustlers studio. A producer named Baldy, he's the one who engineered it. And the song was called Trust No Man. So we submitted it, and they loved it. They loved the song. They loved the way we mapped it out. We wrote it like we just took the script and we just put the characters in there. We wrote it, you know, directly with the movie. They loved it. The movie never came out. They loved the song. We were trying to get the end credits. They were like, there's no way you can get the end credits. We're saving that. MC8 will probably get, more than likely, get the end credits. They go, but we'll put your song in there somewhere. It'll be in the movie. The film, after it was made, you know, that it was caught up in a big controversy and a federal racketeering case, and they seized the movie, which is, it's unfortunate.
Did you still have the masters, or who has the masters to that?
It's these guys from Riverside. It's David, the guy, David Grimm, that's his name too. Wes Grimm's name is David. He mentions it in the podcast who has it. We have like it on CD. I'm sure Daz has it too, like on a CD somewhere. But yeah, I don't know about putting it. It's not really up to me to put it out. It's probably up to David and David to put it out, or what they want to do with it.
Okay.
He was telling me let's redo it. I was telling him to redo it too, but I don't know if he's gonna do that or not. I think we might have started to redo it, and then I did all the track over and all that, and then he it's kind of hard, man, when you try to do old songs over. They don't sound the same, because then you want to update it. I collect a lot of equipment, so I could run it through analog tape and then back digital. But it's just something about the way you sound, your cadence, your delivery, your vocal. It's not the same. It don't have the same, like, you're older now, so then you want to kind of change it, so it don't have the same feel.
Do you mind if I include that when I edit this episode and play that minute and a half?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
You can check it out on the Spanish Fly podcast. It's on Trix's YouTube channel. And it's that interview with or it's a short clip with Westside Grimm.
I'm gonna go ahead and play a little clip, and you guys check it out. It's never been heard before. This is a song, Trust No Man.
Late night in the club, counting our stash. Me and my boys trying to double up the cash. We call up Ramona, hook us up with the bird. And now we got clients instead of hoes on the beeper. Money's rolling in, I got the hook up with the cops. On my flip phone, waiting for another drop off. These young motherfuckers in the street straight balling. Clocking 20 down when the night with one call. And now I'm off to mom's pad to kick it, now some loot. I see a tear fall, cause she knows the dirt I do. I gotta watch my back when I roll through the pocket, cause JD's ass is locked up and he's scheming a way to stop it. Never got along even when we were little kids, and now this motherfucker's thinking he's gonna get revenge. Making money on the west side was the plan, but I still can't trust that motherfucking man.
Trust no man, trust no man, trust no man.
I trust no man for these motherfucking reasons.
Trust no man, trust no man, trust no man.
These motherfuckers change like the seasons.
And what I caught here, I want to circle back to a comment that you left on YouTube a long time ago, but the sample on that was a little bit of more bounce to the ounce. And if I recall the Friends, right, by Houdini?
Yeah, it's the part of the piano part on Friends, the instrumental.
Okay, so those two samples and the way that it was played, there's another group that was on Familia Records called Young Pachucos, and I think they only had one song. You left a comment on there that you produced that track. Is that correct?
Oh shoot, I did say that. Oh my gosh, how long ago did I say that? I think we were there and we probably gave them the samples. Yeah, but I wouldn't say I produced it. We were there. It was me and David were there, and Murray, he just wanted to put anybody out, I guess, and he was like, yeah, these guys right here, they're from, where were they from?
Okay, Young Pachucos is a group out of Arizona, border town.
Okay.
They had a nice sound. I mean, it's just, it's funny. They had a song that was, it was a Chicano rap hit called Wanna Bounce. It was number one for its run.
Really? Okay.
They had an album. We never really finished working on it. I guess things come up, different things, but I had a lot of, high hopes for that group,
right.
But we, never fulfilled it. But I mean, they were dope. They were, they brought a border town sound.
And we were like, oh my gosh, are you serious? And then I think we were there recording something else, and then we just kind of had the beat already, like not even really a beat, just like a rough draft, and they just rapped. Yeah, just a loop. And Murray was just like, yeah, he started grooving and thinking it was like an instant hit with no work and like just let it be, and like that. It's not something that I could say I produced. No way. Heck no.
Did you produce S.A. Rich Rock's track, Don't Let No One Get You Down?
Don't let no one get you down. That's the message I'm sending from the heart. It's time for the stereotypes to start ending, cause it's been going on too long.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was my idea to do the song. I mean,
the reason why I was asking, because I know I could look it up, but I might as well just ask the source. There's a snippet in there, which I think is a sample that goes, I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm in the middle, just right. Which, by the way, I also picked up that you sampled a little bit of Santana's Black Magic.
Yeah.
What sample is that from? The whole I'm not black, I'm not white.
Oh yeah, let me see. I got that from. No, I think I got that from El Chicano, Viva La Raza. Is that it? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the.
It might be it.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm in the middle. Yeah, then I used Don't Put Me Down If I'm Brown by El Chicano.
That's what it was.
The one in the middle where it breaks down, I'm not black. The thing is, we had to slow it down real slow. It sounds kind of weird.
Okay, and those influences of that song was from your dad playing.
Yeah, my dad had the records. He plays with the guys from Tieta, and he would play with all them guys. Yeah, he's still playing Latin jazz, and he's still playing and all that. He still does all that still to this day. Which makes me ask that you stated you grew up in a musical family. How was your parents' reception with you wanting to rap and make music? I ask this because I think you stated that your jefita was probably listening to Rappers Delight, which was a new genre at the time. But I don't know how well versed she was in hip hop at the time. Yeah. They probably thought about it the way we think of our kids' music. They probably hated it. I think they didn't like it. Yeah, they didn't like it. They didn't like rap. It's weird now because now my mom's like, I like that song, like certain rap songs. My dad, let me see, does my dad like rap? My dad's kind of weird with it because he'll tell me like, hey Frank, you should make a song with this song right here. And he'll play a song for me. I'll be like, with that? Nah, I'm good with that. And it's like a song you would never want to make a song with, But yeah, he probably thought my music wasn't music. But that's the same thing with every generation. Like I could look at my son's music. My son, he's 30 now, but at the time he used to like Lil Wayne and all that. And now he probably don't like Lil Wayne, or my daughter's like, everything's cringy to her. Like, that music's cringy, don't play that. So like every generation, they think the next generation is not music. My parents didn't, in other words, my parents didn't like our music. My mom grew up on like reggae and the Beatles. Oh, sweet. Yeah, so she's got a really interesting tune, right? Like, she would hate that I would play rap, and she'd be like, esa música de pinches marihuanos. And then I would look at her and be like, you're listening to the Beatles. Like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, but it's because it's a different generation. Yeah, like my mom liked the Beatles and Marvin Gaye and all that, and Led Zeppelin. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh? But then they look at our music like trash. But I'm sure my mom's mom looked at her music like trash.
Yeah, the funny thing is that like she I guess she grew to like Eminem because that was like one of the first rappers that I started listening to when I was a little kid, right? I was 10 when the Marshall Mathers LP came out, and that was like my first rap album.
Oh, that's a good album. Yeah,
It's a good album. Like I still play it to this day, and it's so funny because my brothers are 6 and 8 years younger than me. And so my youngest brother's into Drake, right? And so when he's playing his music in front of my mom compares it to Eminem, and she's like, ¿por qué suena como que nomás está hablando? Like he's not even singing or rapping.
Yeah.
And then, because my mom picked up Eminem's style of rap, and so to her, like rap is supposed to sound that way, right? So when
Correct.
she hears like Drake rapping, she's like,
Yeah.
this is not it.
Yeah.
This is not the business.
That's the same scenario, bro. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. I always thought that was funny, but I wanted to ask you about the Spanish Fly classics and unreleased. Were you a part of putting this together besides like the actual recording?
It's pretty much just the same songs, right? I think David added like 2 or 3 other ones he had.
Yeah, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 songs that weren't on the Spanish Fly Trust No Man album.
Oh wow, 4. I didn't know 4. Yeah, no, I didn't know nothing about that. I think I seen that online one day. That came out like in '97 though, right?
The one I have, the pressing says 2005, but I'm assuming it did come out in '97.
Oh, okay, maybe it was 2005. Yeah, no, I didn't know nothing about that.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering what your involvement was, because I other than a few tracks that I can kind of hear your sound, like that Spanish Fly sound that you crafted. The rest, I'm starting to believe is more of Daz's.
Yeah, he had a song in there like S.A. Cholo or something, like S.A. Cholo or something like that. It was like a sample from Al Green. Yeah, I think that's David's song. I think he made that one in his studio at his house. I think. I'm not sure though. I thought that was the only additional song on there. I didn't know there was more than just that.
Yeah, well, I didn't hear Gangsta Tale on any other previous one that you guys had.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. That's on there too. Yeah.
You Can't See Me with your cousin Westside Grim.
Oh, that was on there too. Okay.
Yeah, and then Ain't No Place I'd Rather Be, where he samples Clear's Tonight.
Tonight, yeah. Yeah, we always wanted to use that and we never did. There was all kind of good samples, man, we were going to use, man, and we had so many good samples to use, and then we never really got around to it. I know he still has a lot of them. I have a lot of them still, but I don't know, it's kind of weird. We just kind of shelved them and never really used them. It's kind of weird when that happens.
Hey, no kidding, man. Like, is there any music that you guys still have that's unreleased? Because it says here that there's supposed to be a volume 2, but I'm just wondering if there is anything.
Yeah, I have stuff. I'm pretty sure he does. I know I got stuff that we never put out. I got a lot of stuff with Rich Rock I never put out, but it's stuff that is not done in the recording studio. It was done like on a 4-track at her house. Oh no, I have like 2 that we did in the studio. That's right. It's another version of Shotgun and another version of Don't Let Anyone Get You Down.
On the documentary, you played the original version of Don't Let No One Get You Down, because the one that came out on the one that I heard on the special edition sounded different.
Oh yeah, that was me and David doing that one. That's like the 3rd one. I have another version that Rich Rock did before the one that we put on the doc. Yeah, that was one we did we did that one in the studio in Riverside. We were trying to get a deal with this guy named Jaime Ochoa. He was trying to get us a deal. He's a good guy. You guys should have him on your show. Look him up, Jaime Ochoa. He's doing a lot of good things for the Chicano culture. He's involved a lot of things in all through Southern California, but he was trying to get us a record deal for about 2 years, and he was taking us to the studio, and we did Don't Let Anyone Get You Down and 18 with the Bullet too, I believe, but we never got a deal. We're working through him.
So you guys cut ties with him when you met Murray Brunken.
Yeah, exactly. He was pissed off, but I mean, we just had to hurry up and get something out. He understood at the time too, but he was mad though because he put a lot of time into us. But we were kind of going in circles with him though.
And for that song, I'm assuming that Jamal owns the rights to that song, but you guys remixed the Harbor area song, right? For the documentary.
Yeah, that was that was actually his name is Alex. It's Daz's nephew. He goes by Tunes. He did the music. He's a really gifted. He plays drums, guitar, keyboard. So when you hear the music, yeah, he did the music all over, and then David just did his raps over.
Dude, that song is so dope. I almost feel like bootlegging it myself just because it's so dope.
Oh man, that's how it ends up. And now you know Harbor area rip shit up. Oh man, that's how it ends up.
How did you cross paths with Jamal Holland and the idea of, how did the idea get tossed up of, let's make a Spanish Fly documentary, and how did that come about?
Yeah. Jamal Holland, I met him because I had a Christian rap. Well, I do have a Christian rap label, so it's Saving Soul Records, savingsoul.com, and then we were. I had about 15 groups, so we put about 10 or 15 albums out within the last 15 years. And then that's how I met Jamal. Like, he just came to the studio one day and he started rapping, and I was like, yeah, bro, let's get you on doing shows. We were doing like 150 shows a year.
Wow.
This was like in 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Around 10, it's slowed down a lot. So we did it for quite a few years. And then he never knew nothing about the Spanish Fly stuff because like when I'm doing like the gospel hip hop, we never really would talk about that stuff. We were just like, they'd come in the studio, my studio I have in my house, and we would just like, let's just grind and make songs. Like, these are the beats. I'd have different rappers, and then they would all like spit on different verses. And then me and Jamal ended up making a solo album. He made a solo album, and then he got a record deal through some label, and then he got on TBN and all that. I don't know if you know what TBN is.
Mm-hmm.
Made a couple of music videos. I think we made 3 or 4 music videos. And then for some reason he said, yo man, I seen that little Spanish Fly thing you did where you're like, I met Richard when I was in 7th grade. He's like, yo, that's dope. And like, he's like, yo, you should do something with that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. It was like a little, I don't know if you ever seen it. I did it about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I saw that, like, it's like a 3-minute video on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and I played like a song at the end of it. And he's seen that. And when he's seen it, he said he had felt a certain way about it, but he wasn't a director yet. But he was already making music videos. And then he ended up going to college. I think it was it USC or UCLA? USC?
I think it's USC, yeah.
Yeah, USC, and then he went for directing, and then that's pretty much. And we've always been friends, doing music, still doing music. I just had a meeting with him yesterday with the girl from Lebanon. We got a song called Revolutionary coming out, and we got a girl with a Lebanese voice singing on there. We got this guy Double M from Alexandria, from over there where the pyramids are. I don't know, somewhere over there in Europe. That dude's like rapping in Arabic. It's a dope song, dude. It's gonna be a dope song. But like, Jamal's always been there, and he's like, yo, let's make a documentary. And that's kind of how it all came together. Like, I'm just glad that it was him that made it, because if it wasn't for him, then it probably wouldn't have been done right.
I'm glad that you approved of it and that it got out. I'm saddened too, like the way that it ended. No spoilers, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it is pretty heartbreaking knowing that like your friendship basically ended because of this path that you guys took as this group,
Yeah, for sure, man. We were really, really good friends. All 3 of us. We were really, really good friends. And then, it's just weird the way that stuff happens. I think about Richard all the time, especially because we hung out a lot, and we love rap music a lot. And so like, I'll just be working on music, and I'll just be remembering like now how the music is, how much I'm engulfed in it now with editing and recording and mixing and just producing. And then I think back when it was just me and him, like using a microphone and a tape deck.
Crazy.
And like, we were coming up with the dopest music, and now everything is all edited and computers and like plugins and rack mounts and expensive gear, and we still can't recreate all that. I'm not saying that we can't come up with dope stuff, but it's weird the way we were just like in a little tiny room, man, and it was just like magic was happening. And now it's like we got to put in 102, 300, 400 hours just to make one song.
Wow. I hear you, dude. I put in a lot of work just to edit these episodes, and that's probably like what takes me the longest. You know, it takes an hour to record, but it takes me like a whole month just to put together. Yeah.
See, bro, you know. Yeah, you want it to be right. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about then.
Yeah, I could listen to the same 10 seconds like, 60 times over trying to figure out like, okay, is the pacing okay? Should I cut it here? Should I lower the volume on this?
That's your gift, bro. That's a gift, and you know exactly what you're looking to hear and see, and no one else could do that but you, the right way, though.
Yeah, I even have to rearrange the order in which some of the things that are said. Like maybe this conversation, when you hear it, may be rearranged, and so that takes time,
I love that, man. I love that kind of talk. You're right about that. Like, and people don't know it until they see it at the end and how much you put into it and make it all gel together good.
Yeah, exactly. When you first reached out to me to see if we would be doing an episode, you mentioned you wanted to share a story, and you posted something about Night Owl, right? When he passed away.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that story. Yeah, we did. I remember we did a show. We did a show like in '92, and oh man, was it like Wood Lake up north, like way up north, like 4 hours up there. And he was there too. He was with two other older guys. I didn't know it. I remember I heard his song, the tribute to Mary Wells, and then I remember he was like, it was me, Richard, and Toker that were there, and then he like came into our hotel room. We had like girls and a bunch of guys in there, and I had like a radio, and I was just playing the tape with all my beats, like my samples that I'm gonna use. Like I would have sample snippets with other beats in there, like if I was sampling like oldie, but I would have a bunch of stuff layered on top of that oldie. And he was just sitting there, and every time I played something, he would look at the other guy, and they would look at each other like, damn. So I was like, man, this fool better not use anything on his album. I remember thinking that in my mind, but he didn't really talk. He was just chilling. He had like a Hawaiian shirt on. He must have been younger, because I must have been probably like 22. And I think he was way older than me, so he was probably 28, 27. But he really didn't talk. He was just chilling in our hotel room right there. Yeah, I know he had some health issues, man, and I was really sad to hear what happened. And that sucks, man.
Yeah, his voice is probably one of the better documented ones, and which brings me to the point of like why I really want to push this podcast, because I really want all the voices of people who impacted my life growing up with their music, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking about like mainstream music. I'm talking about like this underground stuff that has had little exposure, little little time dedicated to reviews and the intricacies of what went into, because you guys have a pretty interesting life of like where your music started off, where it was headed, who it connected with, and where it ended up,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of people that got a lot of similar stories too. Even like you mentioning Night Owl, that guy made a lot of albums, man.
Yeah. I don't know where he found the energy to.
Dang, tell me about it. That's crazy. It's not even really making a lot of albums. It's making albums that people bought and recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, are you guys involved with khalifasrap.net or .com?
Yes and no. So I know funk very well. I write sometimes. Like I'll write. What I'm doing here on the podcast, I used to do in writing.
Oh, okay, that was you that used to. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. I also remember brownpride.com. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been trying to get Sal on here, dude.
Sal, that was him. Sal, yep.
So hopefully Sal Rojas can join us. I've been trying to get him to join us, because I think what he contributed for the culture is really deep.
That was a good website. They had a battle board, and everyone used to talk crap on there.
I don't know, man. Like you said it, that Murray Brumfield is like the Jerry Heller of Chicano rap.
Oh yeah.
His label is like this double-edged sword, right? It put out so much music that I would say is like, probably the quality that really got out there, or catapulted people's careers, because a lot of the stuff that debuted on there is just like, to me, if you haven't had a chance to listen to Little One's Once in a Decade album, my God, like I just listened to that album. It's a easy 45 minutes, and you listen to like the drums, like the producer Madman who produced Night Owl's album, Little One's album, Aztec Tribe's album, and this other local GPA and Brown's self-titled EP. Man, just the man's production, the sampling, it was something that was out of left field, and it was very I would say, like, compared to the way that you guys sampled, his stuff was like very inspired by previous drum loops and samples from like records that you wouldn't expect, right? Like they put in samples from the Children of the Corn.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like how it starts off like just the way that gets sampled in the song. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I love that, using stuff from movies and all. Yeah, you're right about that. That's the creativity of it.
I don't know, man. I feel a certain way about Murray Bromfield. On one hand, he's a genius. On the other hand, he's an evil genius. And he may have been a positive impact to some people, and probably something that, like, what's the word, hindered the growth of our people being recognized in this genre.
You're right.
When's the last time we talked to Murray, Frank?
Wow, me, man, I've always been in we've always had friction, so let me see. I tried to talk to him on like Facebook Messenger a few times. I don't think he responded. Last time I talked to him was probably in '94.
Wow.
Yeah, he knew I was always pissed off. He knew that I was always pissed. He didn't have a label. He wasn't doing this until we started doing it. We were the first group he had.
That's true. Well, the first Chicanos, right? Because he had like I think he had what's his name? Mac 10's like first group called First Amendment.
That was after. Yeah, that was way after. Yeah, I remember First Amendment. He had a label called Kingswood Records, which was like his stuff he was trying to do like in the 80s, but I don't think he ever did. I never heard what he did, but he would talk about that. And then so when we went to him for help, he was like, yeah, I could help you guys get a deal and all that. And then he was just like, oh no, I'm gonna put this out myself. Because probably somebody told him, yo, you could make money off of this.
So how much was 4 points on a record?
Yeah, there you go. You beat me to it.
No, probably 75%.
Oh shit.
Wow.
Well, you have a couple different brackets, if you want to be. But back then was different than now. It's a little different because now you have other ways. You have like licensing and streaming, different things now. But back then it was probably more or less like, like I think we were doing tapes first. Like, you had to get tapes made and CDs and records back then. Now they don't really do that.
Did any of the raza that made fun of Spanish Fly rapping because they were Mexican when you guys were younger, did they ever come back being a fan of Spanish Fly, or just became fans of rap in general after criticizing you guys that it was, black music, negro music, whatever the case may be?
Maybe, I don't remember. Let me see. I think it was just more like they just didn't like that kind of music. They probably still don't. Like, I know a lot of the people that I grew up with, they didn't ever listen to Chicano rap. I still don't think they probably know. I talked to my cousins, and they're like, oh hell no. They're like kind of like cringy, like oh my gosh. They're like that, like sort of like feeling like it's a blast from the past type thing. Like I work with guys that are like Christian rappers, and sometimes they kind of sound like that. I'm like, oh, here we go, bro.
That's another parallel too. It's like, you know how like Chicano rap has a certain stigma. Like I feel like Christian rap has the same stigma. Like,
yeah. You're right. You're right. I think music in general. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something that you guys probably didn't know. Like when we were gonna do our second album, Crimes of Agony. Yeah, Rich Rock, the songs that we had lined up to do, most people would have probably been mad because it sounded nothing like the first album. I think a lot of people might have been mad because he was rapping more like, just more like street, like more like, I always had this thing I would tell him, like, where we want to sound like so like not hip hop or black rap, like just so rap that when people see the cover, they're like, oh, damn, these guys are Mexican? We didn't know that.
Okay.
But the first album was more like we know this thing is gonna sell. That's kind of how I felt like it was gonna be like an NWA thing, but for Mexicans, I felt like it was gonna do that.
Did you feel that it was experimental and that eventually you were going to deviate for a different sound once like the Trust No Man album came out? I mean, that were those your plans with Rich Rock and Esedaz?
I felt like it was gonna stay. Like that's like Spanish Fly to the heart still to this day. Like I've still embraced the style. Obviously, I love it. I still embrace that style, but it needs to be more like the product needs to be like on point. Like the samples you're using, the production, the topics, the titles, everything, the concept, it has to all sink in and be unlocked. It just can't sound like, oh, that again, oh, he sounds like him, or, oh yeah, that would have worked if it was 2001 maybe. It has to be so mind-blowing, or else it's sort of like, yeah, it's just another album, like people hear it one day and then forget about it a week later. Like, I still feel it. I still feel it. Like, I would love to do stuff like that. If Rich Rock just popped up and said he wanted to do it, I'm down to do it. But it'd probably be more like psychopathic type stuff. Like probably Chicano style, but more like crazy stuff, more than Orale Homeboy or something. Maybe a little bit of that, but more crazy.
If that's what you're looking for, something, maybe because of your Christian stance, you might be against it, but if you want to hear a little something more psychopathic and more occult-like, again, once in a decade will blow your mind.
I think Murray put that album out, right?
Yeah, he put out Once in a Decade by Little Wayne.
Yeah, I heard pieces of that album. I remember when it came out. Yeah, he's got a good voice. It goes back to the voice thing. Like a lot of like cholo type rap, their voices, like as soon as I hear their voice, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But some of the guys got good voices though.
No, that's exactly why I always talk to Whites about. I always tell them, a lot of people, when I tell them that I like Chicano rap, they just think that I like anything and everything because they're Mexican. When I listen to Chicano rap, I like to say that I like to listen to the good ones, the one with good rhyme schemes, good patterns, they rap on beat, good production. And obviously there's some people who act like that's a diamond in the rough to find, which I disagree.
Who's your top 3 Chicano rappers of all time?
I've been told that I have a San Diego bias. Honestly, I like guys from, Clica One. I like the G fellas. I like Shadow, Little One, Young Sick, Night Owl. Those would probably be some of my tops.
Word up. How about you?
For me, I say this about mainstream rap as well. I don't have favorite rappers. I have favorite albums. So
yeah.
It's something that I've come to appreciate a lot more. Just because if I have a favorite rapper, like I feel like I have to be compelled to like all their music, but I don't. You know what I mean? There's people, even with mainstream rappers, like I don't like everything that Dr. Dre does. I don't like everything that Ice Cube does.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
But most of it tends to be centered around San Diego, just because it sounded different, like the rhyme schemes, the patterns for the delivery and flow was a little bit more fluid than it was in LA. But if I have to say, my favorite rappers outside of San Diego, because everybody knows who I like in San Diego, but I'll give credit outside of that area. I really liked AOT. I thought he has a great syllabic rhyming, because he can go on forever rhyming in one sentence, and it's got the perfect amount of syllables, and it's got the right structure. I like Slow Pain, because he's funky as hell. Like whatever it is about him, it's just infectious. Another person I like outside of San Diego would be probably let's see here, trying to think of everybody in this. What do I listen to a lot? Outside of San Diego, I think another rapper that probably has a lot of music that I listen to is probably even Kid Frost, right? He's not my favorite, but he has some songs that, because of AOT, they have hit. But in San Diego, like I really loved Little One's music. Like, there's probably the first 6 albums he did in a short period of time that I really listened to. Shadow, like his first 3 albums just fucking blew me away. And Night Owl's, first 3 albums too, right? The Night Owl, Wicked West, and I think, actually it's not his first 3rd album, but the
Nightmares or Shot Calling.
Nightmares.
Wow,
Nightmares.
they made a lot of albums.
Yeah, it's albums that I like more so because of the production, right? Because behind those productions, on the San Diego albums, you have Madman, who was behind a lot of that, and you had BMF, who just is instrumental and a key player in the San Diego rap scene, whether it's black or Mexican, right? So that's why I liked it. It's different than just saying, oh, I liked him because of the way that he raps. No, it's just the production merged well. There's a lot of chemistry with the rapper and the producer, and just the cadence on the beat was great,
Yeah, all that stuff's important. That's good. That's a good list.
Yeah.
Now, Frank, I wanted to ask, man, I know that, your dad's still doing music today, your son's doing music, you still do music, and Nas has a song with his pops. Do you have a song with your dad for our listeners to probably listen to, maybe on YouTube or something?
We have songs that we have, like I have them here in the studio, but we never put them out. But we've got plenty of songs we recorded. He does have songs that are out. Find Love by Mescal. Sort of like an 80s song. I put it out like 4 or 5 years ago. It's a 45 he made. He made a couple of 45s. And I'd be telling my dad, like, you need to put your music out. And I'm going through that with one of his friends too that has a lot of good music, and I'm trying to get them to polish their music up and release it, because you kind of archive it when you do that. But I need to do a song, you're right, with my son and my dad. My son is doing all kind of music right now with all these kind of, like, I guess you could say, like, cholo type rappers too. And he's not even like, my son has like long hair. He's like it's funny because my son used to be in a rock band. He like learned how to play drums and then bass guitar, went to college for drumming. He used to bring like an alternative rock band to my house, and I would record them, and they were doing gigs. And then a few years later, he bought the Machine Studio, the drum machine thing, and now he's making all these dope beats. And now I'm recording alternative rock music, producing, and now he's making all these dope tracks, and he's like sending me samples of stuff he's doing. And I just told him the other day, how in the hell is it that you're chopping up beats and I'm over here recording rock bands now?
Came full circle.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because like up until like he was 17, 18, he never even said he was into doing music like that type of music like I did, production type music. He was like wanting to be in a band. And now I'm like, yo, come down, bro. Like, come down, son. I got a band. They're here. I want your input. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll see. He's like, he works with these guys from a thing called, damn, what are they called? But he's done a lot of tracks for a lot of people now. What's the name of that place? I can't even remember, man. It's a shop where they have a podcast and all that. I'll probably look up the name and send it to you guys later. He goes by FC3 or FC Sounds. But he's doing a lot of beats for a lot of people right now, a lot of rappers. Some dope rappers too. I heard their production is pretty good.
Nice. Any shout outs you want to give before we wrap up the show?
I want to thank you guys, obviously, man. G-Funk Junkies. Your name says it all. You guys are G-Funk Junkies. Would you guys consider a Chicano rap G-Funk? Yeah, right?
Here's my definition of what Chicano rap is, man. It's a continuation of West Coast rap. It is a blend of what was Latino rap, what is gangster rap, and what was G-Funk, and it's just our touch on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Definitely right.
Yeah, I grew up basically worshiping G-Funk, and the more you think about it, you can't deny how much of the Chicano image and culture was borrowed to put out G-Funk, right? And that's not something that we're credited for, is our involvement in the music and how much of our culture was taken to put out what is gangster rap. So That's why I'm what's the word? Patenting the name G-Funk Junkies, because this is a Chicano podcast, and I wanted to embrace how much we've been involved in music, and give credit where credit is due.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I love the name too, man. You guys keep doing what you're doing. You do a good interview. You ask good questions. I can see you guys, studied a little bit. I really appreciate that. You guys are asking the right questions.
Thank you.
Of course,
and
man,
just, I know we got to go, but I got to ask this just real quick. Hopefully we can squeeze this in.
Yeah, for sure, man.
When and where did you first hear the term Chicano rap?
Let me see. Jeez, man. I don't know, man. That's a good question. Let me see.
It's hard. It puzzles a lot of people.
It's got to be around Murray, because around 93, 94, he was saying something else. It was, Latin rap. We would say Latin rap.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was telling us, he was saying, Latin is not really, it's like saying Hispanic. Latin is not a word. It's not considered, like, if you say Hispanic or Latin can mean anything. It means you're in another country. He said, because he was a teacher, he said, you got to say Chicano. Chicano, he used to say that. Like, okay, I am Chicano. I was raised here, so it has to be through Murray and Familia around that time, 93. But it's like how people started putting it on the CD. It would say Chicano rap, like that. I don't know. I think I started seeing that in the 2000s.
I think that's when it took off. Yeah.
Remember when they had that logo? It said Chicano rap. It was written like slanted a little bit.
Yeah, with the font, the specialized font that looked all like Fiesta type font.
Yeah, white and black looking. So I was thinking it was originating with guys from San Diego. That's what people say now, right?
I think San Diego popularized I guess the better word is dominated the genre in the late 90s, because that's when you had this explosion of people coming out there, and that's like what people credit to be the golden era, was that late 90s, right? Which was Night Owl, Little Rob, Little One.
Right.
GPA's music was out there.
Right.
Shadow's music was out there.
They had a lot of guys. Little Rob. Damn, they were doing their thing back then. That's when I was like not even really into that kind of rap anymore. But I know they were blowing up.
Actually, Little Rob started in '92, and it's funny because he credits Ese Rich Rock and Proper Those as some of the influences on his music too in the early '90s.
Yeah, I seen him. I read that before. I heard him talking about us, Rich Rock, Spanish Fly. I seen interviews with him saying that, so that's cool to hear him say that.
Of course, man. Like, this comes full circle, right? I'm glad to hear that some people acknowledge you guys as influences, because you guys were pioneers, right? Whether it was in LA, California, or beyond, like, your music. This is something that I think a lot of Chicanos don't see is that they're barking up the wrong tree, right? Like, they spend so much time trying to get the approval from black rappers and black audiences to be approved, right? And they don't realize that their music had reached the other side of the world. Like, I'm not sure if you ever looked up how much your music is worth, but there's people in Japan and places in Europe, like France and Germany, that are selling your albums, and they're selling it like the top dollar,
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like your music reached audiences that you weren't expecting to, and that's because like Chicanos in general have been so preoccupied with trying to win over black people that they realize that you won over the rest of the world,
Yeah, that's a big thing, man. That was always the vision, to make good music that made people enjoy or feel happy when they heard it, or made them feel like prideful when they heard it. Like, yeah, this is me right here. A good song, when you hear a good song, it makes you feel like it's reading your mind and like you're saying it. You could it puts yourself in their shoes. I love songs where you're able to hear it and you think about yourself saying it, like they're reading your mind. That's when you know it's a good MC and a good song. Not just dancing music, but songs where you can really feel what they're saying, like they're reading your mind.
Definitely. I just want to give everybody a shout out that's listening. We have listeners that tune in from other parts of the world, and so I just want to appreciate people that are supporting our podcast. I feel like we're nobodies, but I appreciate that you guys take the time to listen to our music. Shout out to Frank, aka DJ Tricks from Spanish Fly. check out his podcast on YouTube. Check out his documentary on Amazon Prime. And where can they find your music and your stuff?
Yeah, I got most of my music's on savingsoul.com. You can look it up there. I have a whole bunch of different albums that we put out the last decade or so. Also look up a film we did, a short film called Microphone, 168 Film Festival. And also too, for the listeners, just want to mention right now that we're in the process of finally finishing the Spanish Fly documentary, which is hopefully going to be a 3-part series. So we've been moving forward with that, and we're looking to add in all the stuff that we left out. So that's going to be a good thing to looking forward to. Also, new Spanish Fly music coming out, and we'll see what happens next with all of this. And I appreciate you guys for just having me on. And yeah, go ahead and look me up again, savingsoul.com.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
that's badass, man. Not a lot of people get to say that, they have a documentary on themselves, man. So that's out there.
Yeah, we're very thankful, man. And I'll mention you guys on the doc, man. I'm gonna give you guys love back, bro.
I appreciate
okay.
that, dog.
Respect.
I appreciate that. And with that, like we always say, just chill till the next episode.
Boom.